He'll get on his iPad later. We can do 2 recordings. We'll do the fights, and we'll go from there.
Well, we're recording now, so
yeah.
Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast, everybody. We're having trying to get Umar on board, but we're going to talk about the fights.
Technical difficulties. It's all Lynn's fault.
It's always my fault.
Well, you're the technical difficulty guy. I'm the speaker.
That's right. You're the famous speaker. I'm just the guy trying to keep the microphone working.
I don't know about famous part, but I am definitely. Here's Umar here calling.
Let's get him on. Let's get Umar on.
Umar.
Yes, coach. I try to insert. I'm there, but nobody inside the podcast. That's me.
Just you're in the podcast. You're on the air now. We're on the air now. We're live.
I'm joined.
He said he joined the first one, and it wasn't.
I'll send him another invite. Tell him I'm going to
send him another invite right now.
I'm going to send it to him on WhatsApp.
He's going to send it to you on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And keep this on just the technical difficulty part, so we can blame you, Len.
Yeah, this is the fun part of the podcast.
Yeah, we're blaming Len for you not coming on, Umar. It's his fault.
This is the naturally aspirated comedy aspect of the podcast.
We have a special guest, future great bantamweight champion of the UFC, Len, and you can't even get him on.
Can't even get him on the show properly. It's my
That's
fault.
Horrible. This is my number one student. You cannot get my number one student on. What's the matter with you? He's sending it, Umar.
I sent it to him on WhatsApp.
He sent it to you right now on WhatsApp.
Does he want me to send it to his email instead?
Or you send it to both WhatsApp and email. That way he can send both. Umar, he sent it to WhatsApp and email.
Here he is.
Oh, he's on? Okay.
Coach, are you hearing me?
Hey!
Oh, there you go. Hey!
Привет!
Hey,
You hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Where's your sunglasses, Lynn?
Oh yeah, sunglasses guys.
Yeah,
Where's your sunglasses, coach?
Two sunglasses guys. Technical difficulties, Umar. We got you on though. Future champ, future coach student, great student. Right? Yes. Young Eagle, future of the UFC bantamweight division. That's my calling card from now on. How does that sound?
I think it's good. His stream's a little. It was his stream, the whole thing.
Yeah. Why not? Now we go technical difficulty again.
Out.
Lynn, are you messing this up again?
I am. It's the dials. Trying to dial him in right now.
Can you hear us again, Umar? You good?
Yes, I'm good, coach. How are you, coach?
Okay, good. Hey, let's go real quick. Len has some fan questions for you. Let's see if you maybe I can need to translate, in Spanish. I will if I have to. I know you understand Spanish, so we'll get it done.
Here's the first question, Javier. You can ask him. You see it at the bottom there.
How many professional fighters in the family? How many professional fighters are in your family?
Nurmagomedov family.
I know the answer.
No, coach.
I know the answer.
But coach, we have some couple guys who not was high level, who stopped because of injury. I have to count everybody. Abu Bakr has his older brother, and he was very good too.
Yeah, that's true. That's
why I didn't know his record. I know he has 1 lose or maybe 10 or 9 wins.
9 wins. So how many total? Just the number. What would you say? Habib, Abu Bakr, you, Usman, Abu Bakr's brother. That's 5, right? What about Habib's brother? Did Habib's brother fight? No, right?
No, he was wrestling. He was doing wrestling. I think almost 100, coach.
100? 100?
Wow.
Okay, me, Usman, and Khabib almost 70, right?
Oh no, not fights. How many members? How many members? No, with you and Habib, you guys.
How many brothers? How many brothers with Nurmagomedov name fighters?
I think you ask. I think coach, you ask about fights.
Record?
How
No,
many
not
brothers
record.
we have? We have.
Yeah.
We have a lot of cousins, coach. We have a lot of cousins, and Abu Bakr has three brothers. More
They fight?
and huh? No,
They all fight?
Just fighters.
Only fighters.
No.
Only
Now
professional fighters. Only professional fighters. How many?
coach, I think total me, Usman, Abu Bakr, Abdurrahman, Habib, 5 guys.
Okay, 5. There you go. Next question. 5.
That was a good one.
Answer.
This was somebody that knows that he hangs out in San Jose asked this question. Says, hi, Umar. What is your favorite food at Taibat? Did I say that correct? The restaurant in San Jose?
Taibat. Yeah. Do you have any other restaurant recommendations from San Jose or San Francisco? So other than Taibat, what is your favorite menu there? What do you like to eat there the best?
Coach, we was there together, right? They have very tasty all foods, steaks, burgers, even some kebabs. Everything they have like very tasty. I like this food. They have like I like eat there.
Do you have any other places in San Jose that you like? Maybe in San Francisco?
Chatnya, and we was there, coach, together too, like sushi place close to gym.
Sushi place right across from the gym. Yeah, sushi. I don't remember the name, but yeah, okay. The sushi place across AKA is actually pretty good. He likes the fire
San Jose.
Yeah, fire. Yeah. Okay, what's next, Lynn?
Here's a good one we got here. What does Umar think first martial art a child, young boy, young girl should start? Judo, wrestling, or boxing for martial arts? What's your recommendation?
Understand that, Umar?
Yes, I understand, coach. This is like up to him, coach, what he like. This is very push your kid. Okay, if you don't wrestling and you will push him, I think you can break him. You have to ask him.
I agree. So it's up to the child. It's up to the child.
To ask him if he likes striking. Let him do like Muay Thai or boxing. Like let him choose. But you can do like try to show him this is like very good, like teach him doing this, like doing him like this. You can do this, but don't push. Don't push. If you push, you can break.
You'll break. Yep, I agree. That's the way I do it too. Whatever they want, push on it. If they want to fight MMA later, you'll put it together, but they have a strong base, whether it be judo, whether it be Muay Thai, whether it be boxing, sambo, or jiu-jitsu. But then you add everything to it if they want to pursue an MMA career. So Umar's correct. Don't push any one particular one. Let them choose what they like to do, and then go and then help them grow on whatever they choose.
I think
that makes a lot of sense. That makes sense. Go ahead.
Coach, I think very important if you want to push your kid, push him to study, push him to learn, like
studies.
Education, very, very important education, because if you take some injury, stop your career. But when you're smart, you're never gonna lose. Like you have to find something for doing.
Wisdom. I like this. These are very good answers. This is a great podcast. So Umar,
good question. Go ahead.
Another question for Umar from the fans I grabbed yesterday. Says, hi, Umar. Another food question. I never tried Dagestani food before. One day, if I have a chance, I will try. What do you recommend for Dagestani food? Favorite food?
I think our kitchen all nice, and you can choose anything. You will be happy, and maybe somebody will open to our kitchen to like a restaurant in San Jose or in American, and it's gonna be easy for try our food.
Hey, Umar, maybe this is a message to Habib Papapka. You know, San Jose, huh? What do you think?
He have to
They say,
operate.
Habib, we're waiting.
That's a great idea. I love that. Let's see. This is another big question, so I'll say it slow. It says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. I am Arafat. This is my first comment on YouTube ever. I only have one question. What was your training like when you were a teenage boy?
I was in a wrestling school. I was doing like in the our gym. I was not very good, and when I go to some competition, some challenge, I always was second or third because I was nervous because when father and uncles come to watch me, I was scared to lose and lose, you know. But always I like it striking. Even I was go to wrestling. I say to father, please let me go to Muay Thai. Please let me go to Muay Thai. And one day he say, okay, up to you how you want. Go to he buy for me. He bought for me gloves, shin guards, and I was very happy then.
So that's why he prefers striking. That's why he's different. His brother Usman, the Bellator champion, also likes striking, but they can do it all. They're well rounded in any area. You think you can beat him in one area, but you got to beat him in all areas because him and his brother are well rounded, extremely well rounded. Whereas Habib was not well rounded. Habib was great, the greatest ever still to this day on the ground. He's the greatest ever on the ground. To me, he's the greatest fighter of all time, still in my heart. But Habib wasn't the greatest all around martial artist, meaning he didn't have kicking. Umar's got great kicking. Habib never had great kicking. Habib didn't even have good boxing. Now he does. Habib's got good boxing now, and Habib's got okay kicking. Umar will tell you it's okay, but not great. Not like Usman and Umar. Umar's got great dynamic kicking. It comes from all different angles, very explosive, and it's very tricky to see where he's coming from. So in the kicking areas where he excelled, and he said the key thing. Remember, Umar just said, if your child wants to train, let him choose what he wants. What did he just say? My father let me do the Muay Thai. I was very happy. So therefore, he performs exceptionally well when he's striking because his father allowed him to do that. That's why Umar's so great at striking because that's what he loves to do. He can do it all, but he loves to strike.
That's very interesting. How do you get, what is the good age to start the striking, do you think, Umar?
And one more time.
How old?
How old? Let's say you have a daughter or son, you want them to train. How old do you want them to start?
I want to. They will do gymnastic, like before 12 years, maybe 10. After I will send him grappling or wrestling. I don't want to push my kids. I don't want to. My kids will be professional athletes like MMA, and this is very hard things. And I'm not wish for my kids this way. But if they will do this, and if he say I wanna do this, I have my patient here. I'm gonna let him.
Got it.
That's
Coach,
the way it's supposed to
Any
be.
father should do that. Yeah.
coach. When I was young, I'm going to Muay Thai school, and I'm really doing this. I'm changing 2 3 t-shirts because I love this. I doing this with passion. And when somebody come to gym, and well, when he young, and he doing like everybody, and he thinking he need this or no need. He don't wanna become good. He don't wanna be like perfect. If you're doing something with passion and like
Love.
love, you have to become like perfect, be like better than everybody.
Yeah. When you love it, you train it. When like love is something people don't understand. If you use love the correct way, you will be a great father. You will be a great role model. You will be great at anything you do if you use love. I love to train. anything. If you use love from the heart to the mind, it's really really the greatest formula to success. Because if you don't love to get up in the morning to go train, you're not going to. You have to love, you have to want, you have to love. And if you don't love, why are you going to want?
Yeah.
He said, Umar said it himself. You heard him say, I loved Muay Thai. So when my father gave me permission, I loved. He said, I loved. Therefore, he succeeded.
Do you think gymnastics gives you extra skill for when you start doing stand-up, like kicking, flexibility, and balance? You think is a good solution to start gymnastics before Muay Thai?
No, I think gymnastics it's be very good for his body. He will be tough. He will be a little bit muscle because of if he's weak, he can take like some injury who will be with him all his life. That's why for body for his health, I like gymnastics.
Just
It's
like
like,
Habib's son. Habib's son is in gymnastics. He's having him do all these incredible things at a young age, and a little Muhammad loves gymnastics because
Yes, yes,
Habib puts him in there a lot, and so gymnastics. GSP has
GSP.
a
That's what I was going to say.
as an adult, GSP realized how important gymnastic was, but Habib and his father before him, gymnastic was a big part of their program, because they know the body needs to be strong. Then they're not into the lifting weights per se, as that's the way to do it. No, use your own body for pull-ups, chin-ups, holding, rope climbing. Your own body is much more important than the weights for a very successful MMA career, or just for a strong body. You don't have to lift weights, but you do have to lift your body.
I think so. I took, when I was very young, I took gymnastics for a little while, not very long, and I couldn't do most of it. So hard. I would say it's like the other wrestling, a very hard sport like wrestling.
Very hard.
Gymnastics. It's not easy.
Yeah, very hard.
It doesn't look as hard as it is, but it's hard.
Very hard.
I have a question here. This is about, says, Umar, do you play football? Soccer, football, yes. Islam in interviews said he played football, even has trophies when he was young. He says he even plays better than Habib. Okay, I don't know this debate. Not trying to get you in trouble.
I heard Habib's the best. That's what I never watched him play.
Habib's
when they
number
were playing
one.
soccer, I never watched. So Umar can tell me who's the best out of all of them. I don't know.
This
Umar,
is very hard.
Umar,
Coach.
say I'm the best. Say you're the best. Umar, say
No,
I'm
coach.
better.
No, coach. About soccer education, I think Habib is very good. He know about
He
soccer,
knows
everything.
everything. He knows
Yeah,
everything.
he know about everything. But play, I don't know, coach, who's better. They have like
They're
they
both great.
bottom good.
Both
They
good.
bottom good. I think me, coach. I think I'm not like perfect, but I love football playing. I love to play, and about education, about follow to football who playing like some team. I don't follow. I don't.
So you don't have the encyclopedia. You don't have the knowledge of who won, how many trophies. Who you don't have, but you love football. You do play it, but you're not in it like
I just
Habib.
love play.
You're like Habib knows everything.
Habib is
Yeah.
the Google of football.
Google football. Yeah.
Like
Habib's name
Wikipedia.
will come up when you put Google football. Habib will come up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's the awesome one. Oh, let's talk about the fights this weekend, Hav.
Yeah, the fights, yes. Well, I mean, for me, the main event is Umar's brother, Usman, and he's the lightweight Bellator champion of the world. I thought about 3 years ago when I first met him, I said his kid's going to be the champ. He's a superstar, and when I started training him, but there was one thing missing, and the missing part for me was Habib. So I tell Habib, I need your help with him. He needs mental strength. I cannot give it all to him. I need you to help me with him. So Habib and I worked on Usman's mental strength. We got it. Now we have the best fighter in the world, the Bellator division, world champion. And it's all due to the abilities that they both got from Habib's father, the training, the tutelage. Umar can tell you more about how great of a coach Habib's father was. He was one of the greatest coaches I've ever had the privilege of witnessing. And so Usman's going to be fighting this week. And you can go from there, Umar.
Uncle always was say to Usman is future. He say to Usman will change to Habib in lightweight, and he always say too, like you coach. He say this guy gonna be champion, and Usman when he was like 18, 17, he was a little bit not seriously, not serious. Like he can miss training. He can do like training how he when he want, but like step by step he become very professional, and now he's like much different guy. And this guy, I think one of the tough, and he just 24. He soon he will be 25, and he has time. He have time for show and become one of the greatest.
I agree. He got voted the number one out of the top, I think 125 and under prospects. Usman was number one out of every division in the world, number one. Rightfully so. He's the number one over anybody under 25 years. And there's a reason why. Is he's got everything here, physical, mental. He's got it all, and he had it from a young age with Habib's father, and also, believe it or not, a big influence on him was Umar himself, his older brother, Umar. Umar has a big influence on his brother, and he's helped his brother go through. If you guys had a chance to witness the sparring between Umar and Usman, you'd be treated to some great sparring. It's very professional, it's very serious, but they're out there to help each other. They're not out there to try to dominate and hurt each other. They're out there working great technique, and it's really nice to watch. You'd be really, really impressed. Unfortunately, we can never show you guys that type of filming, but if you guys saw it, you'd love it.
I bet we have that video where Usman just finished up sparring with Umar, and he looks very tired. And he says, "Oh, coach, this was very tough." And so it looked like Umar showed him some big brother techniques. And people like that video. It was very popular on YouTube and Instagram. It must have been exciting to watch those two sparring to see the level.
Well, for me, the level, but not only the level, the respect and the love they have for each other, and how Umar pushed his brother. He pushed him. It wasn't easy. He pushed him. He didn't go easy on his brother. He pushed him, but it was as professional sparring as you can ever get. Because you could see that the chances of them getting injured was almost none, because they were so careful in how they executed. Whereas we have some guys here and there that are reckless, like Umar knows. Some fighters don't know how to work, and Muhammad Alaric, one of my Kuwaiti fighters, he was that way. He was that way. Now he's much better. Now he knows how to work, but you have to learn how to work at a high level, because high level professionals are not going to want to work with you if there's a chance they may get injured. And like Habib calls them, hurt machines.
Emotional.
Yeah.
You can't lose your emotion, because it makes you act crazy and start, wrong with your sparring partner.
They try too hard to beat you, and that's not good. But they're learning. They're learning.
What did you think about John Jones' fight, Umar?
I think I'm wait. It's gonna be like this. You know why, coach? In this game, John Jones more than 15 years.
Yeah.
First, his fight is gonna he was fight first time 2008. Coach, this is too much. He's of course he have much, like a lot of skills. He have experience, like I don't know who have more than him. That's why this is about experience. This is about skills, even ability. I think John Jones different level.
I agree with you. And Habib's father had made an interview where he said John Jones is gifts from God, not from Greg Jackson. You know, his gifts from God. He is extreme, and he's correct. I'll tell you, the first time I saw John Jones was in UFC 100, and we were in the workout room. This is before anybody really knew who he was, and it was Brock Lesnar there, GSP, Josh Koscheck, and we were all working out in the same room. And I looked at John Jones, and man, he stood out above everybody. So gifted, so gifted. I was like, wow. I said, this guy's the most athletic guy in the whole place. And that, I mean, we're talking GSP was in that room, okay? And I said, John Jones is more gifted than that guy. And that's saying a lot because GSP was one of the most gifted of all time.
It's kind of fun to talk with Umar. What do you think about Shavkat fight? Very, very good fight. I love his choke.
Yes, he doing this like everybody think this is very easy, but this is like I don't think it's easy choke, and this guy very tough. 17-0, 17 finish. I think he can become champion.
I'm in agree. I think the choke he got was so extremely difficult, but he was so determined to finish this guy. He's finished everybody, you know, 8 submissions, 8 KOs. You know, this was his 17th fight against another high-level guy. Jeff Neal was very high-level. Jeff Neal hit him with some good shots. He had him a little bit wobbly, you know. And Shavkat came back, gave it back to him, and he was determined to finish him, and he did. And you could tell he's like a Terminator. He was like a Terminator. He go, I'm going to finish you. I don't care how many times. Look, his mouthpiece got knocked off. For 2 minutes, he fought. He didn't even let the ref know his mouthpiece. Joe Rogan and DC were going, where's the mouthpiece? Whose is it? Oh, Shavkat. Oh, he's not acting like and he didn't care. He didn't care.
The referee stepped on the mouthpiece with his foot. That happened.
That just shows you how great of a mental Shavkat is. I agree. I think he's the future at the 170 at the way he's going, and I would love to see him fight for the title next. But let's see what the UFC decides to do. But I would love to watch him fight for the title. He's fun to watch. One of my favorites now, for sure.
Did he ever train in Dagestan, Umar? Did Shavkat ever train in Dagestan?
I don't know. I didn't hear about this. Never.
Somebody in the comments was saying, I think he was over with Habib team at one time. I'm like, I don't remember this, but
no, and not since I've been with Habib in 2012 that I've heard of him being around him now.
Yeah, I felt like he was just testing his stand-up, and he could have went to his grappling at any time, and he wanted to test himself against a really good boxer, stand-up guy. And he's like, okay, this is tough, but then he finally took it with the choke. That's my feeling. I don't know.
I think that he tried to take Jeff Neal down, and Jeff Neal was really tough to take down. So I think he just did what he could do to win, and the best avenue was the striking, and that's what I think. And he utilized his knees really well in the clinch. He needed Jeff Neal quite a bit, you know, and I think he tried to take him down, but I think Jeff Neal had a pretty good takedown defense. That's my opinion. What did you think, Umar? Did you think the same?
Coach, I think
I don't think you understood the question.
Perfect, coach. He's perfect striking, but in this fight, he a little bit did too much punches, right?
Yeah.
And even he choked this guy, and this guy he have good chin and good shape. I think it's gonna be very, very good fight with Kamaru Usman.
But you got to remember, what if Kamaru doesn't win his rematch with Leon Edwards? Leon Edwards could win again. I mean,
Yes,
it's a tough fight.
I think, coach, he win Kamaru Usman because of like by chance, you know, like he give him like 4 rounds. This guy won.
No, I agree, but I think
And
Kamaru screwed up and he gave it to him, just like Valentina did the same thing with Alexis Grasso. Valentina did that spinning back kick, and that was a bad mistake. Valentina capitalized. Alexis capitalized on that. Worked on that same damn technique to capitalize on that spinning back kick. That was crazy. That was crazy. To train that and pull it off. Wow, that's amazing. Because Valentina is what you would call a master. Master. In striking, she's a master. And she got caught with the spinning back kick that normally no one ever catches her with, and she got caught.
Yeah, that does happen. I have a good fight question for Umar, one that's in his division, very competitive fight. How do you see Jan versus Vashili? If I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Merab. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but Peter Jan versus Merab, Piotr. What do you think?
Coach, this is the last question, okay? Because of I
Yes.
come
Yes.
to, I was
Yeah, we're
supposed to buy something for him. I come to, I'm already here. I think about this fight, about Petr and Mirab. I think Petr much better in the striking, but Jose Aldo not bad striking too, and Mirab beat him. I think
Conditioning.
if Petr will give him do his job, like uh, how we say, like take him down, like push him. If Petr gonna give him push him, I think Miram gonna beat him. But if Petr gonna be stay to distance and try to box with him, I think this guy much better. I think in the striking, I think one of the best Petrian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. You have it. Okay, Umar.
Thank you, Umar, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Coach.
All right. We'll have you on another time when you want. You know, it could be months from now, even 10 years. Even after you win your title, you can come back on.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So in regards to what you mentioned right there is Merab is a beast. He's the thing about him, he doesn't stop. He's a cardio machine, so he's going to push the pace all the time. And the thing about Merab is, I think like Umar has hit it on the nail on the striking. Peter Yan, and if it's at a distance, if it's in close, it may be Merab because Merab's going to mix in the wrestling with the striking, so he's going to be able to intermix that better than Peter. But Yan is so good everywhere that he's going to be competitive everywhere. But on the cardio, I have to give Merab the edge on the cardio and the pressure. I give Merab the pressure on that. On the technical striking side, Peter. On the experience level, high level 5-rounders or of that nature, Jan's got the most. And for me, Peter Jan's got the bad end of the stick a few times where I felt he won, and he didn't win, but he should have won. This is one of those fights where I think he wants to prove that he's still the champ and going to be the champ by beating Merab, which is a training partner of Sterling, right? This is Sterling's training partner, and this is one of the reasons why those guys are thinking about maybe going up in weight because Aljamain's a big guy, and Merab he feels is probably going to win the bantamweight title, and why not go up to the featherweight title? So why not? That's what Aljamain's thinking. He's a big guy, so he can carry the weight. My feeling is that that's all good and dandy, but when Umar gets that opportunity, it's going to be Umar who they're going to be talking about. My feeling, and I believe I'm going to be correct, but once that time comes, we'll see. We'll see who's going to decide that they want to fight Umar, because Young Eagle, he's on the rise, and right now a lot of people are avoiding him, and rightfully so, because number one, they don't want to fight him on the status where it's at, because a lot of the fights that they want to put him on are not main event. And anybody that fights Umar, in my opinion, if they're the top guys, it should be a main event. It should be a main event, or at the very least, a semi main event on a major card.
Main card minimum.
Yeah, because Umar is so exciting, and any of the top 5 guys in the world in the bantamweight division are exciting also. So for any of those guys to want to fight Umar, they're going to want to fight in a major event. and to maximize their exposure, maximize their dollars, and that's what they all want to do: get the best exposure, maximize their dollars to be able to feed their families, and and get the luxuries of what they put in all that hard work for. Nobody wants to be, in a situation where they don't know where their next food's coming from, because they don't know where their next paycheck's coming from. Everybody wants a good life. Everybody wants to work, towards getting a good life. That's why we get up in the morning. That's why we go to work, because we want to provide for our families or ourselves.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I look at the whole situation where, you remember in the early days of the UFC, you couldn't really hide. You're either going to be facing off with Mark Coleman or Royce Gracie, one of those two guys. It's like, or Dan Severn. There was not anywhere to go but to the top guy and get whooped.
You wanted to win, you're going to have to beat one of those guys. I mean, and I mean, those were the crazy days, and that's just the way it was. And
now you have 50 other choices. You're trying to fight a guy that's like 30 numbers below you. I'll fight number 29 on the card. I'm a number 5.
Also, to remember, there was no weight category then. It was like, you're fighting this guy that outweighed you by 100 pounds. remember Gary Goodrich versus Tito Ortiz's coach, one of his coaches. Remember he got him and he elbowed the crap out of him.
Oh, when he had him in the crucifix, and then he was elbowing him on the head
and knocked him out. What was that guy's name?
That name came and went.
Sandoval was a Latin guy. But anyways, that was a huge weight disparity. And that's what it was before. Now it's more dialed in because everybody's so well trained in jiu-jitsu. And without that jiu-jitsu knowledge and being as proficient as these guys are in jiu-jitsu, I don't know if anybody would have overtaken any of the Gracies, because their ability to nullify every other technique was proven back then. If you had to beat them, you better understand what they were doing. Otherwise, you weren't going to beat a pure jiu-jitsu guy with your art. You weren't going to do it. I don't care what anybody says.
He was going to take you into some deep waters out of your skill set.
Yeah, Oleg Taktarov, was a Sambo champion. He came in. He did great. Yeah, but he couldn't beat the Gracie. Okay, and then also too, there's been presently in the PFL, there was an 8-time world Sambo champion that came in. And again, the wrestling. She got beat by the wrestling. She got beat by the what's her name? The girl that just lost the title. The Olympian, the judo Olympian. Gosh, Len, why am I?
I don't remember either, sir.
I forget. Probably the audience is going, oh, we know who she is.
These guys are really, really supposed to know MMA, and they don't.
How do we not know the name? How do I forget her name? It's like she's the poster child.
You can be asked, the left-handed guy. You're not talking about Ronda Rousey.
No. She's won 2 Olympic gold.
Kayla
Harrison. How can I forget that name? She's the poster child.
Because I was in the UFC. You were over in the PFL, but I get it. It's the same.
I said PFL. I didn't say UFC.
Oh, okay.
I
My
said
brain didn't unlock.
Kayla Harrison. But anyways, it's been proven. But now everybody knows. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And now it's become a total different sport. There's still jiu-jitsu, and there's jiu-jitsu, there's boxing, there's Thai boxing, there's Sambo. They have so many different styles, but all mixed together. You better have Brazilian jiu-jitsu if knowledge, if you're gonna be reigning on top. Name me one champion right now that doesn't have good knowledge of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Doesn't have to have great knowledge, but good knowledge. Name me one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I might go towards the Australian lad and the guy that beat him recently at 185, Adesanya, and the guy that fought him. Neither one of them are really a jiu-jitsuist.
They have jiu-jitsu though, very good jiu-jitsu. That like which one called Alex Pereira was mainly a striker, but he has jiu-jitsu. He's trained in jiu-jitsu. Okay, if he had zero jiu-jitsu, he
not UFC 1 level jiu-jitsu, like one move.
Well, we're not talking about high level jiu-jitsu. You don't have high level jiu-jitsu. Adesanya doesn't have high level jiu-jitsu, because if Adesanya had high level jiu-jitsu, he would have never lost to Jan Blachowicz. He wouldn't have got manhandled like that. Even regardless of the weight, It's his jiu-jitsu was not up to par to the elite. What I'm saying is, at the very least, you have Adesanya type jiu-jitsu, which is pretty good knowledge, okay? Because he was whooping everybody's ass on the lighter weights before that, and Adesanya wasn't getting beat by nobody. He was whooping everybody, you know. So
he had a sprawl that could beat everybody at his weight class. He had a sprawl where he could just get up and
well,
get off the fence, and
he had a sprawl, but also a lot of guys didn't attack him correctly. It wasn't
right.
until what do you call it? Robert Whittaker on his last fight with him made it more interesting because Robert Whittaker changed his tactics. He went from striking with the guy, which was a bad idea, to looking to take him down, which was a good idea. So the second fight between Robert Whittaker and Adesanya was closer, and that's only because Robert Whittaker utilized his good wrestling ability, okay? And that's why it became more interesting. Watch the fight, and you'll see the first fight versus the second fight. First fight, Robert Whittaker was just trying the same old thing all over again against a striker that's much better and longer, you know, more experienced. So that was not a good bet. But then when Robert on the second rematch utilized more wrestling, he became more successful. So if those guys fight a third time, look, it can go up in the air, and it could be Whittaker, it could be Adesanya. I don't know. I'm thinking Adesanya, but Whittaker could just smash him. I don't know. It's unknown for me. I just know this. It's a different fight. Robert Whittaker is a different person when they would fight, because this is the third time. They adapt, just like Figueroa and the champ from Mexico, Moreno. Okay,
yeah.
Every one of the fight, they all changed.
That is so paper thin. Yeah. I feel like those guys are closer than Adesanya and
yes. But the last one, Moreno really ran away with it.
He did.
Maybe Figueroa had a hard time making the weight cut. That could be one of the reasons. They don't say a lot of some true champions don't give you the reasons. They just take their loss, rebuild, and go. You know
you brought up an interesting point about the grappling, and I was listening to a podcast the other day of all things because my phone was just running through, throwing up a random podcast, and it landed on Eddie Bravo, and he was talking about. He goes, "Yeah, when I was a kid, I was a wrestler, and." Someone would try to pick on me and I'd hold him on the ground waiting until someone broke up the fight because I didn't realize I was winning the fight. But based on them, like, you're a whip, stand up, man. Come on, kickbox me. And you get baited. And that was me growing up because I was in judo. I'd have him on the ground, have him in arm bars with like, that's a whip, get up, stand up and fight. Remember?
I saw the same thing in the high school. When I was in high school, I saw one wrestler kid. He fought another kid. There was a Taekwondo kid. And the wrestler would take him down, and everybody would say, "No, let him up." But the wrestler,
let him punch you in the face. Get up.
Let him up, and he take him down again. Oh, it's not a fight. Let him up. The wrestler let him up again, took him down again. Then the principal and everybody came and broke it up. But the Taekwondo kid had 0 for the wrestler. But the wrestler, like you said, he didn't know he was winning because he kept taking him down. All he was doing was holding him down. But probably in a life or death situation, I think they would have been hair pulling, eye grabbing, and grabbing on the head, smashing the head, or maybe picking them up and slamming them, or the wrestler would have really hurt the Taekwondo kid. Because the wrestlers are more apt for physical confrontation because what do they do right off the bat? They wrestle, they grab each other, they get used to it. In Taekwondo and all these other striking arts, what do? You hit, you strike. You don't grapple right away. You don't get to feel what it's like. You're punching the bags, you're punching air, you're punching focus mitts. It takes you a long time before you go and try to punch a real person. So you learn quicker in the grappling arts. That's why for me, I always say, if you have to take one martial art, just one, no choices, just one, you can't mix. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, hands down, because it applies to everybody. Wrestling, no way, does not apply to everybody. Wrestling is very, very difficult unless you're super athletic, super tough kids. Both of my kids, wrestling, no way. They can both do Jiu-Jitsu if they wanted to, and no problem. But I'm telling you, wrestling,
because you can learn, you can get results, you can learn gradually, and it's not the grind. You're not chasing the weight cut like you are in wrestling high school.
It's a different mentality. The wrestlers are like they're like the real gladiator type kids that go in there. Okay. I'm not saying that a jiu-jitsu kid is not a gladiator. I am saying, though, that just about every single wrestler goes through the grind of a gladiator. Not all jiu-jitsu, because that's for everybody. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Everybody. Wrestling is not for everybody. Boxing is not for everybody. Thai boxing is not for everybody. Jiu-jitsu, everybody.
Well, wrestling doesn't really teach submissions. It's more about the pin. And, it's a style. I mean, you can control a guy and get him in a holding position, but the takedowns like a whizzer and different things, that's great. Judo's great for hip toss, but jiu-jitsu is got the most submissions, and it's always evolving, where when you and I were kids, you learned a martial art and it had so many fixed moves. Taekwondo, yellow belt, know these 3 moves, orange belt, and so forth, right? It was structured.
There's a
Jiu-jitsu's evolving.
There's a video I saw on Instagram, and I think it was dynamic striking. And then on the video, they show this girl. She's rolling with her jiu-jitsu instructor, and there's boxers looking around, and they're all thinking, I can challenge her. So they all take their turn at her. She chokes them all out. She chokes them all out. I mean, they weren't punching, but it was just grappling. But still, there's this woman choking these guys out. I mean, literally not great boxers. I don't know what they were, great or not, but they were boxers, okay? And they were definitely physically fit, and she definitely choked their ass out. It's on dynamic striking. I saw it on that. And that was just a perfect example of the power of jiu-jitsu, or let's say not just jiu-jitsu, let's say wrestling, let's say sambo. All those 3 powers, those 3 are extremely powerful for because all 3 of those anybody can do. Judo's a little bit tougher because of all the slamming, and sambo, I don't really know enough about sambo, but there's a lot of moves in sambo that are really good. But jiu-jitsu, to me, is the art where I just see everybody, no matter the age, can participate in jiu-jitsu and be effective and be able to take care of themselves. So although I don't do jiu-jitsu and never really have, I tried it and I got sick right away, and et cetera, and the desire to, because when I roll one time, I'm done for the day.
You get dizzy?
I get dizzy. Like my equilibrium goes way off. I mean, first time I did it, I threw up all over the place. That's not good.
It's like a heavy leg day.
Yeah, I know what I'm looking at. When I look at someone in jiu-jitsu, I know how good they are. A wrestler, I know how good they are. But the moves, I don't know them. I know fight. I know how to put a fight plan together. I know how to look at somebody and know how to beat them. But as far as the teaching jiu-jitsu, teaching wrestling, teaching sambo, zero. For me, I'm more of a mental coach than I am an actual technical coach. Mental is where my strengths lie. It's not on the technical aspect, because if you rely on me as a technician, then it's not going to go too well for you, especially if you're expecting me to teach you wrestling.
Well, I mean, what I think you brought up sambo. It was like a match of boxing, judo, wrestling, and it had some submissions in it, right? It wasn't fully as vested as, let's say, a jiu-jitsu, but the advantage that it's had, because everyone's like, why this Dagestani thing's beating all these guys like Oliveira, Islam and all these kind of things. Like, how does it one beat the other? And there was a big jiu-jitsu guy. Oh, gosh, I'll think of his name and say it next podcast.
Gordon Ryan.
Could be Gordon Ryan.
It was Gordon.
Yeah, he's talking about how he's like, it gives you, I guess the way my nutshell way to describe it would be, you can hold a guy in position and get more punches in and have more finishing moves that you're not learning in the jiu-jitsu art. You're mixing the 3 together. So if you're doing MMA, you're not just fighting a jiu-jitsu fight. You're opening it up to hit him on the ground, elbow on the ground, and
it's going to be harder for some of these guys to finish some of these great jiu-jitsu guys in submissions, because they're so
fight their own fight. They could lose possibly.
That doesn't mean they can't beat the great jiu-jitsu guy, because they know enough about submissions. They can avoid your submissions with their wrestling, and they're hitting you and elbowing you, and so in that regard, they dominate. But as far as the submission, the true art form of just submission only, no striking, no nothing, no, it's kind of tough to beat a jiu-jitsu straight up on a submission basis, not top control, submission. I'm talking submission.
Yeah,
I think it's very tough to beat that style. And and again, jiu-jitsu is for everybody.
Well, the key is to have top control and burn a guy out, be heavy on top, get a guy's cardio, get his ticker pumping, his heart going off, and his oxygen and his lactic acid, and then move to a position and be a very good counter submission technician to not get caught in triangles and all these things, to get to that position where you beat the guy either by punches or whatever. You don't need that many elaborate moves.
Keep in mind, on jiu-jitsu, you could be the person on the bottom.
Yeah.
You could be the person on the bottom the whole hour and a half, but they know enough, the ones that practice it, the ones that have experienced it, they know enough to outlast you, not get hurt, and hold you down, and you can't do nothing. All of a sudden you get tired, and they expend as little energy as possible because you happen to be maybe 100 pounds heavier than them, or maybe you're just meaner than they are, but they know how to survive. But eventually you'll get tired. You'll get tired because they'll avoid your heavy strikes. And then at that point when you're super exhausted, the jiu-jitsu will come in, slip in the choke, the triangle or whatever kind of choke, arm bar, and you're done. That's the art of the mastery of jiu-jitsu, is if there's no time limits, that's where they have a big advantage. And
remember those fights? They took forever.
Yeah,
forever.
You're talking one-on-one, unarmed combative jiu-jitsu to me is hands down number one. And I'm not saying that it'll beat every style, every person, because every person is different. Like you can have a smaller person versus a very strong, bigger person, or you can have in a street fight, you don't know the word go. You're thinking, okay, get ready, get set. Before you said get ready, the guy punched you already, and you're knocked out. So
yeah, I mean, you could have a lighter weight guy, and you could be a 280-pound man, and 145-pound guy's trying to lay you out, and he just hits you, and nothing happens, and you go, now what?
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who died, God rest his soul, but he was the one of the toughest guys I've ever met my whole entire life, and he literally would fight guys that would try to come at him. He was a boxer, / football player, and he hit so hard that he would hit these guys one time, lay him out. He was a street fighter, you know, and he knew boxing, he knew some submissions, but he knew more than anything street life.
Yeah.
Okay. Street life. There's a whole different level between street life.
Hit first, hit hard, get it off, and get the distance. Yeah. Yeah.
They understand when they hit.
It's almost like a sucker punch when someone's in front of you.
Yeah. Because in a real street fight, in a real life or death situation, there's no sucker punch. There's survival punches. There's it didn't move. So that's a whole different story. So in that regard, there's so many variables. But again, my choice for anybody, jiu-jitsu, one pure art jiu-jitsu for every person, every child, and that person could turn out to be one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, with having that jiu-jitsu lineage. But they'll have to learn everything else, because jiu-jitsu is not, alone will never win. You'll never win a UFC title or Bellator title or any of the major titles with one singular particular style. You'll never be just a wrestler and win. Never happen. In the beginning stages, yes, jiu-jitsu was the dominant one, but now it's not.
Well, now we get Bo Nickel, and a lot of promise on that young man. Super grappler.
Okay, but imagine Bo Nichols with nothing but wrestling. How well was he going to do?
Yeah. I mean, he's ready to throw. He wants to throw, but
he's eger to throw, and
he's throwing to a setup too. Also,
he made mistakes. He was anxious. He made mistakes, and
adrenaline.
More experienced guys would have caught him. Bo Nichols is the real deal. He just needs to continue to get more fights to get the experience he needs. You watch and see if they keep feeding him a slight step on competition all the time, not super high. That guy's going to keep improving. He's good on the mic. He's got the accolades. He's got the confidence, and he's definitely shows the willingness to engage, and that's a major part in why he's going to be successful. He wants the competition. He's telling the top guys, "Hey, I'm coming. You can't handle me." And you know what? That's the right attitude. He's got the right attitude, but don't give him Adesanya now. Don't give him Robert Whittaker. Don't give him any of those Hamza Shemaya right now. Don't do that. Don't do that. But keep shooting for those guys. Keep saying, I'm coming. I'm coming for you guys next year. Maybe it'll take 4 years, but regardless, keep saying I'm coming. Because, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. I enjoyed watching him. I enjoyed what he did. I enjoyed how tenacious he was. It's like he screw up. It's like getting on the Bronco, you know, and he bucked you off, and you're almost off, but you got back on. And that's what happened in this fight. He almost got bucked off, but he got back on because he refused to get off. He was going to stay on and ride that sucker until he, you know, tamed him. And that's what he did. He made the mistakes, but that's rookie mistakes. He won't make those mistakes as the time progresses. But again, the UFC, they're going to market him to the point where they're going to give him tougher competition, you know, and that's what they do with everybody. That's what they've done. Think about it. Who haven't they done that with? Almost everybody. Now they're learning. It's not throw you through the wolves, throw you to step by step by step by step.
Yeah. I have a quick question. Were you ever in your early days, young days, kickboxer guy, were you ever like, this is the only art? Remember when, you know, when I was younger, like, we're the Taekwondo guys, we're the judo guys. It's before everything was MMA.
I thought earlier on, I thought boxing was the most effective because I was a Taekwondo guy. I boxed when I was 12 years old, but I didn't realize boxing was self-defense. So
that's funny. You didn't realize that boxing was self-defense, and I didn't think judo was. It worked perfectly. But go ahead.
Yeah, and so basically, when I went into the martial arts, I thought that was the way to go because of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee changed the perspective of what was, and back in the older days, back in the 60s and 50s, I believe judo was the biggest martial art back then. Then the kid with Bill Wallace and all those guys came in, so the PKA and all that full contact came in, and you know, but in reality, you know, the toughest all along has been you know, judo and jiu-jitsu, you know, as a single you know, competitive art.
Percentage of wins.
Look at the competition. They competed against other styles and they won. Gene LaBelle, you know, the great Gene LaBelle, he did competitions against boxers. You know, Antonio Inoki, he fought Muhammad Ali, you know, in the grappler versus boxer fight. You know, there was a lot of fights, and the Gracies are notorious for beating down bigger opponents. You know, and they're the ones that made it the most famous of all, the Gracies. They're the ones, you know, my life and my role as a coach is all due to the visionary the visions that they had and how they carried it out. It created so many of us, and millions of people around the world are having success because of what that family had the vision to do.
The Gracies, they helped start the UFC. They brought the fighting style. Their gym blew up to like 11,000 students or something crazy. Black Belt Magazine had a reader, or 1,100 or some crazy amount of students. I'm trying to remember this from 15, 20 years ago.
They single-handedly changed the whole scope of what true self-defense is. You know, they influenced the whole world, and anybody that says different, they're lying. It's the Gracies. Gracies, hands down.
In our era, in our age, 70s and stuff, you look at martial arts, there was a lot of fake news. There'd be a guy that could roll into town, you get a bunch of fake trophies, and like, you know, have some tiger on the wall and says, I only teach the dragon tiger death touch. And,
death touch.
And people would be terrified, and he'd just set them up on demo. Stand here, let me chop you in the throat. See how effective that is?
So master doesn't enter the UFC because he'd kill these people. And many students believe that my master can't do that because it's illegal. Well, if you remember, the only thing that didn't allow at the very beginning was biting. But outside of that, groin strikes were legal. The UFC had everything legal. So don't give me that bullshit. You know, the bottom line is, you know, they proved who was the dominant single art. They proved it. You know,
that was like instantly, and everyone's like, oh, but I want to learn how to do that flying kick. I said, you know, I think it goes back. If you guys want to watch an old movie where Javier and I get the ideas about all the different martial arts, Game of Death with Bruce Lee. They remixed a lot of it, but it shows him fighting all the different martial arts.
Those different martial arts, yeah.
And
Bruce Lee was ahead of his time on what practical reality self-defense on the street was. He was humongous on the theories and the practicality of what works, what doesn't work. His mind was way ahead of his time. Still, probably to this day, if you can sit down and pick his brain, you may very well, God, this guy is a genius in the art of combative self-defense, you know, and how to apply it and what to apply, what to throw out, you know, because remember, if you read some of his things, you know, it's pretty amazing how we still to this day are not quite 100% where his mentality was way back then.
You know, it's my last thought here. It's like, it's funny. The UFC comes out, people see the grapplers, they see the Gracie's. Gracie school probably starts filling up after Royce's got a few of those $50,000 checks over his head, you know, those big checks, like lottery winner checks for winning those tournaments in the early, like 1 through 3 of the UFC. And then people started coming to your gym where you were because they were looking for something that was actually full contact, I'm assuming. And you had a record of being able to knock people out as a world champion kickboxer. Is that how that happened? Or
no.
Am I getting it wrong? How did it come together?
Oh, kid, this what came happen to me is it was more or less the opposite. When I did the kickboxing, a lot of people were coming to me because kickboxing was we were the I was the only one in the whole San Jose area that had a gym doing kickboxing. So when the Gracies came on board in, I believe it was 1993 with the UFC, people like myself even said, oh yeah, well, they're beating guys, but they're not beating the best. You don't see Sugar Ray Leonard in there. You don't see so-and-so in there. You see these has-been guys, and they're getting beat, but they're not beating the best. So in my mind, I was defending the striker, thinking, Benny Urquidez, who has judo, could probably go in there and do damage because he was a judo black belt too. And maybe I am correct on Benny because Benny was a judo black belt. So he was a wrestler. He came from a wrestling family. So Benny Urquidez was one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. You know, an American kickboxer for darn sure. So Benny Urquidez would have been suited really well for MMA, but all of us, everybody else was smoking crack if we thought we can compete with that level. Because we all thought, oh, none of the best guys are there. Oh, look, this and that's not doing there. Like, remember the first UFC was Jim Brown, Kathy Long, and Bill Superfoot Wallace were the commentators on there.
Oh, it's Jim Brown. He's got him. He's on top. It's all over now.
Realistically, they didn't. That's because that's the best they had in the idea of martial arts, but they weren't really the pioneers of the MMA. There was just specific. Jim Brown was a great athlete.
Big tough guy. They wanted a tough sport with a tough image.
Kathy Long was one of the greatest kickboxing women and famous women, and Bill Superfoot Wallace, you know, was another legendary, you know, world champion. And I started my career doing an exhibition bout with Bill Superfoot Wallace. So I firsthand know how great he was, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of started like that with those kind of guys. And again,
but did a grappler guy come to your gym? Because guys were probably coming to you. I'm just assuming this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did when you had your gym, did some UFC guys find their way to you? Like, I want to get this part of my training. I'm going to try to train here in a judo place, or what?
The only thing I had was Paul Polar Bear Barlins. He was training at the school called trap fighting. Mm-hmm. And he met Brian Johnston, and he came to my gym to work out with Brian, and him and Brian would spar. And that's how we got into the UFC. But I didn't have UFC fighters come to my gym to learn to go into the UFC. No. Brian Johnston was a student already. So we learned from there. Now, from Brian Johnston, I met Frank Shamrock. And Frank Shamrock came to my gym because of Brian Johnston. So that's how that started. But we weren't known for the gym to come. No, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Ralph Gracie, Cesar Gracie, you know, those were the guys that people went to learn how to get into the UFC. Not me. And little by little, we started getting
makes sense.
But we had to go to Gracie to learn their jiu-jitsu or get some of their brown belts or their purple belts or their blue belts teach us and for us to keep advancing. So it wasn't them coming to me, it was them coming to Gracie schools to get into the UFC because that's what they needed.
At what point did you get like a good grappling instructor with AKA, like early 90s, mid 90s? Like, did somebody come and start growing it from there?
The first one I got that came in that was extremely well, in my opinion, that was exceptional for us. The first one was actually Mike Swain, the first American judo world champion from US of A.
Had some of his mats.
He Swain Mats, yeah. He came, he started teaching for me for a little bit. Then the next one I had there was Bobby Southworth of Jiu-Jitsu. He came in. And from Bobby Southworth, then came David Camarillo. From David Camarillo, then came Leandro Vieira. And then from Leandro Vieira, now I have the most incredible instructor, teacher, partner in Ron Kessler, who's the head of the MMA team. He's, out of all of them, Ron Kessler is the best, absolute best. Our kids program competition, adults program competition, we practically almost every single time place first in the local areas here in the above region. Ron Kessler is an unbelievable jiu-jitsu instructor. And yeah, we go from there. But again, people weren't coming to me to learn how to do striking to get into UFC. No, people were going to Gracie's to learn jiu-jitsu to get
Ralph Gracie, Caesar Gracie locally.
A perfect example.
People would go to Fairtex too. Well, I know.
Yeah, Fairtex, yes. But
for stand-up
kickboxing. Perfect example is my guy, Alex Kambabian, okay, who was a world champion kickboxer with me, my student. He went to Ralph Gracie to learn jiu-jitsu, okay, because he wanted to fight jiu-jitsu, okay? He didn't come to AKA. He went to Ralph Gracie because if he didn't go to Ralph Gracie, he wouldn't have got nowhere near anything. So he got his black belt, I believe, from a Ralph Gracie student. Maybe it was Dave Camarillo or someone, or Mike Padencia, but I believe it's all the lineage of Ralph Gracie, though. All Ralph Gracie. So that's the way it really went down. It didn't go, all these Gracie guys come to me. No, all of us were going to them because
no, but I mean, I came by your school and you already had Kane just joined up. That's the first time I came by your school with Chris, and the cameras and all that.
Yeah, but that's in later years, though. You're talking how many years?
So you're talking 90s. This is in the 2000s. So it's a 10-year jump. 10-year jump.
93 till when Cain Velasquez was with us, 2006 or 7. So that's a big jump. So the Gracies did their magic all in between that time. So we had, when you came, we already had jiu-jitsu because we got it from them. They're the pioneers. No way that they come. Gracie guys came to us to become better. Now though, you can't be a strict jiu-jitsu guy. You need to have good striking coaching, good boxing.
You need to learn striking that works against grapplers from your gym. Am I right in saying that?
No, you need to be good everywhere, just like Buchecha. Yeah. Just like Buchecha is. Marcus Buchecha is learn boxing and learn wrestling because he used to come here and just do jiu-jitsu with DC and Kane. So now it's a combination, and you got to learn it all. If you don't learn it all, good luck. Good luck. I don't care. I don't care if you're world champion boxer. I don't care if you're world champion jiu-jitsu. If you don't have the total package, I'm sorry. There's your weakness in your armor. It's like a chess game. You're playing Bobby Fischer against the other greatest in the world, then you better know how to play chess. And that's the same thing with MMA. If you don't have your boxing, you don't have your taekwondo, you don't have your Muay Thai, you don't have your wrestling, you don't have parts of sambo, you don't have jiu-jitsu, you don't have a complete chess player.
Well, I mean, people come out to your gym especially when you have your Dagestani brothers in there all training together, the Team Habib Eagles, they all roll in, and people just come because they want to experience being around the best in the world that are trainer, other pro fighters, right? A lot of times.
Other guys that want to be, they want to come, but we kind of limit who comes. We don't leave that open because that's the only reason why they want to come, because Habib.
That would be like 1,000 people in the room. If just anybody could go, right? Yeah.
But most of our students are normal martial arts students that want something
at the level.
Yeah, we don't have as many fighters as you think. This gym, the ratio between fighters and students is probably 10-1. Or higher. So
you can't run a business on just a fighter's gym. You'll go out.
No way. This place is 27,000 square feet. Fighters couldn't pay the lease on this place.
We go cover the t-shirt sales.
Oh, they wouldn't cover anything. We make it because of the students, the loyal students that come to AKA, the happy students that come to AKA that learn and branch out and do something associated to what they love, related to what they learn here.
That's a last funny note I'll touch on. It's like, I'm sure there was other schools that mismanaged how they grew their gym together, and they had the pros intermingled with the Joes, and some injuries If you probably went through that. I think I went through that at one point when I had that gym.
Horrible. I went from my first time when I was noon training, and it was during the time we had classes, and we went from about average 20 students coming to the kickboxing class to all of a sudden I noticed there was 1, 2, or none. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? It's my fighters scaring the hell out of the students because they'd have their little eruptions, where they're sparring and they're cussing and pissed off, and the students are like scared, And I remember this vividly, and this is what made me change completely. I remember I had one of my friends. He was a jiu-jitsu purple belt, okay, and I was doing an SBA loan, and he had come into during training, and no big deal. He comes in through, hey Rob, blah blah blah, no big deal, blah blah blah. The next day, during student class, he goes, Hob, I have never been so scared in my life than I was walking in the other day. I go, what do you mean? But when I was walking through all the fighters and like Kane and all these guys, I was afraid if I did the wrong thing, I was gonna get smashed. And I went, oh crap. That's what's going on. So from that point, I separate the fighters from the students because they're a different breed. They have different goals. And a student, they don't want to train with these guys. They don't want to, they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to go with somebody that's got their attitude is, I got to win this fight, and they go too hard on you and they end up hurting you. They don't want that. They don't want that. They want to train with other students that want to learn, So now we have it done right. Fighters, when it's fighters only, no students, okay? When it's students and fighters, it's okay. You can do that because there's a lot more students than there is fighters. There's a few.
If they're teaching, that's what we used to do. We'd have celebrity fight night. We'd have a pro like Jake teach jujitsu to the people, and they all wanted to learn something from Jake, and people loved it.
Like last night, Ron Kessler was teaching jujitsu, no-gi jujitsu, and there was maybe 7 fighters in there and probably 20 students, and that's fine. That's fine. But if they were separated and the fighters were on one section and the students were in another section, I guarantee you at some point the fighters would overrule the students, and the students would feel uncomfortable and they would leave because of the hostility that these fighters were put against each other. But now if you mix
the aggression,
then it's okay. It's okay because they're working. They got students and they know not to go crazy. So it works. It works. I don't recommend put them together is okay, but if you have too many fighters and they're working for real fights, don't. Separate that, because if you don't separate that, you're going to have problems. You're going to wonder why your school doesn't grow. Well, that's why it doesn't grow, because you got people afraid. They don't want to come to your gym because they're afraid. Because, like a lot of people don't come to AKA because they think that they're going to fight and they're going to be put in with fighters. That's totally the opposite.
And you don't make them even let them spar until they've conditioned their body for several months.
Now they have to be
with all the pads.
They have to get tested too. They have to do testing requirements, and they have to pass before they're allowed to spar. Students can't just come in here and want to spar. We don't allow that. But a lot of people don't know that. They still think, like, oh, I do kickboxing, but I don't do your kind of kickboxing. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? If you do kickboxing, you're doing my kind of kickboxing. What your meaning is that you guys don't compete, but we don't compete also. We have a bunch more students, like I said, it's 10-1. We have more students that don't compete than actual students that want to compete.
Yeah, there's levels. There's like working out, kickboxing, stretching, learning the moves and doing the kicks. And then there's competing, light sparring, and then there's competitive. So you're not going to jump into the deep end, and suddenly, nobody's like judging you.
No,
but it's the psychology from an outsider. And it's like easy. It says you being a pro and being a coach and work with the best in the world. It is kind of funny how you discovered it later. You're like, oh, I'm just used to big, scary fighters. I've been one myself.
Yeah.
This is my family. I don't see it like
that was a bad move on my part, because they don't scare me, because I control the fighters. And I'm the scary one to them, because I'm the one that can tell them, get out of here. I'm the one, I was the head coach. So they're scared of me. I was not scared of them. I don't need to be scared of them. But see, I didn't look at it from that perspective of a student, and now I do. That's why this gym here runs fantastic. We have a ton of kids. ton of adults, and the fighters are all here in the mixing, but they're doing their own separate thing. I have their own private pro training, like in the back room it's pros only, and we train the pros in one of the other, because we have a lot of rooms, so we train the pros in one of the boxing rings areas, or they'll train in other rooms, but they don't train with the masses, except on jiu-jitsu with Ron Kessler. They go out there and they do their training with Ron in their mix, and it works out fantastic. Never been a problem. No problem ever.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about somebody wanting to bully you. That's the last thing they want. They want professional for professional. They want to up their level. They don't want somebody that they can wipe the floor with, and they're not bullies. And that's like, they're probably more peaceful than a lot of people that have a lot of angst because they leave it in the gym every day. Just go home all chill.
That's yes and a no. Because some of these fighters are idiots. Some of these fighters are idiots, and they are bullies. Some of them are. They are. You just got to be careful who they are. I mean, I know that would be a lie if I said, "Oh no, all the fighters." No, not all the fighters. Some of these fighters got chips on their shoulders, and some of them are bullies. Some of them, not a lot, But to say that none of them are that way, that's bullshit.
Well, it's funny because you could have a guy that's all nice. Hi, coach. Hi, Len. Everything's nice, and then he starts sparring, and then his personality changes. He starts, the guy he's working on, he starts going at him more aggressively. The other guy's getting 50%. He's throwing in 80 and the kitchen sink, and it's like, I could see that. Yeah. Well, it's an awesome podcast today, Hav. This is going to be a good one. It's so great to have Umar on here.
Yeah, and, we'll get Usman next, and we'll get these guys. It's just, I mean, it just depends. We don't need them all long either. 10 minutes. That's it. I don't need a whole bunch.
That's it.